When I'm flying in particular, if you're 5 and under, it's okay to be in the airport with pajamas. If you're over the age of 5, please put on real clothes. I do think decorum matters because, if you're in your PJs at the airport, you kind of feel like you can do whatever you want. Don't wear your damn pajamas in the airport if you're over the age of 5. There are a lot of very nice athletic wear brands that you can wear that are just as comfortable, but I don't want to see your Mickey Mouse pajamas in the airport.
Welcome to Three Little Fishes. We're three sisters who grew up in the Midwest together, but have since spread across the country. I live in Los Angeles.
I'm in Nashville.
And I live in Philadelphia. We are all married with children, have all had careers, but now we stay at home with our families.
Join us as we share secrets and stories about being women, wives, and mothers.
We welcome you to laugh along, learn something new, reach out, and join our conversation.
So let's jump in.
What's up, fishes?
What's up, fishes?
I'm back.
Welcome back, Nance.
Good to see your happy face.
Holy cow, you were down a while.
Almost a week.
Yeah.
I'm
terrible.
just glad you didn't give it to everybody else, including mom and dad. That would have been terrible.
It's a miracle, honestly, that you didn't give it to us.
I shared a bed with you, for crying out loud. Like, how did I not get sick?
I know. You guys.
It was your pillow wall that you put up. That's what blocked all the germs.
I believe in the pillow wall, and I was trying to protect me from, no offense, your snoring, which I had no idea that you did. I don't know if this is a new development, but I thought that if I put this big pillow between us, I wouldn't hear you snoring. I could not believe it.
It did not work.
It did not work. No, of course not. It doesn't work with my husband either.
But y'all, I will confess, it was embarrassing to be so sick and have zero privacy and be so sick with the thin walls. Like, it was just these levels of like, how much worse is this going to get for me? And then if I wasn't in the bathroom, I couldn't keep my eyes open. But it feels like every time I would open my eyes, Dad was hovering over me, and I would wake up to his face in my face. And I'm like, wait, what is going on? And then at one point, I watched you guys bring in Lysol. Linda's trying to like Lysol the pillows. So it's like this cloud of like Lysol. And Kathy's like, I am not sleeping on Lysol. And then the next thing I know, you're moving out a whole mattress to get away from me.
Well, I was surprised actually you Lysoled the pillow, because I don't think that's good to breathe that in. But we did go to the store for like a special trip just to buy Lysol wipes, like disinfecting cleaner to clean the bathroom from you, because we were all like freaked out we were going to get it. So
yeah.
And then we had a camp out in the family room, which was great. And when it was,
I have to say, I think that I actually was like kind of dreading that, but it really wasn't bad. It kind of was fun.
I think you were very worried that I was going to somehow encroach on your space, but like I kept trying to tell you, I'm a very good, like compartmentalized sleeper, and so it worked out. It was fine, totally fine.
I would do it again.
The next morning was not dreamy. Dad decided to wake up. He had it in his head. He was going to make us a big breakfast, which is so sweet. But he woke us up at 8 a.m. He turned on all the lights. Like, I could have slept for another hour.
I know.
All the lights are on. He's banging pans, getting out the pancake batter, doing all the things. Lynn, how do you do the bacon in the oven? Come help me. Okay, Dad. And let me get up.
So really what I'm hearing is that my illness brought back some childhood fun of having a camp out in the living room with your siblings and waking up to make breakfast with Dad. So you're welcome.
I would have preferred having you not sick, and we could have like played cards. We could have gone shopping. We didn't go to dinner because of you, because Dad was like, worried that he would leave you and you would die somehow, like as we were at dinner. I don't know.
I know. We were supposed to go to that fancy restaurant to have dinner.
I mean, I was
like, that's all right, Nancy. We ate pizza anyway.
You made the best of a bad situation.
We
did. How about that?
My team won cards handily every time, so that was great.
All right, you guys, before we move into the show, I just want to remind you all to please like, subscribe, and share with your school of fishes to join in to the podcast. Okay. Today, we're going to talk about travel woes. What are you watching? And what's for dinner? So let's jump in. Travel woes. So with all the drama of traveling to try to have a girls' weekend and see mom and dad and celebrate dad's birthday in Florida, I had the most hellacious trip, as you all know, because I was sick. But also it got me thinking about, have we lost our manners when we travel? This is what I mean. So when I was coming home from Florida, I realized I'm recovering from being very sick. I'm in an early flight. I have a long flight back to Los Angeles, which is like 5 hours. Mm-hmm. We finally land. I'm so thankful to be back home. We're getting ready to deplane.
You're like,
and there's this gentleman
off this plane.
Yes. I'm like, sweet everything. I'm ready to get out of this plane. So as we're getting ready to deplane, I'm in an aisle seat, and there's this passenger who's barreling up the front of the aisle, and he's doing it wrong. So, the front of the plane deboards, and then it goes to the back. So it's an order of how it's supposed to be. So he stops, and he puts his whole body right next to my seat as he's trying to get out ahead of me. And I am like, no, man, this is not how it's done. I just refuse. So I'm taking up space for me, for the people in my row to be like, not on my watch. You're going to go after me because I want to get out of this plane too. So I am firm holding my space. And then I have to get into the compartment above me because I have to get my carry-on bag. And as I'm having all these thoughts in my head about this guy who's totally in my space, he says, "Can I please help you get your bag down?" And he got my bag down, which immediately I was like,
"That's very nice."
Oh, that's very nice.
Super nice.
So he's not a total a-hole.
Right. So that's my point. So, okay, are you really what the story I'm telling myself is this person is rude. He doesn't care about other people. Like I have this whole list of this guy's problem. But really, he was nice and he helped me with my bag. And maybe he's got a story to tell that I don't know. Maybe he's airsick. Maybe he's here because there's a death in the family.
Maybe he's got the flu like you.
Maybe he's got the flu. So I was like, okay, settle down. So then I'm in my Uber finally. And this guy, my Uber driver, is super nice. But y'all, he is talking my ear off. I have in my little earpiece, really ready to listen to the end of my book that I'm listening to. I'm like, okay, hurry up, stop talking to me. And then he starts telling me that he drives Uber to make a little extra money, but also to remind him that the world is more kind and good people are around him because he's mourning the loss of one of his children that just got killed in a car accident by a drunk driver.
Oh,
that's so
and
sad.
So he's telling me his life story and mourning his daughter, but also celebrating that there's still good people out there who make good choices. So it just got me to think, I'm thinking, oh gosh, I'm not being very nice because this guy just needs somebody to talk to. Why is it that bad to just listen to this stranger giving me a ride from the airport home? Does it cost me that much to be patient and show kindness?
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, we talk about all the time showing grace to people. Do you guys think you practice what you preach? I sometimes feel like I fall short of that. And I have to remember that everybody's just having their own day or their own situation. We need to show a little bit more compassion. Do you guys find this in your everyday life and travel?
I feel like, since we all just traveled, I am feeling, because I think everybody is nervous flying these days with all these crashes happening.
Yes. Yes. And I realized that's a good point, Kathy. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I realized that this is trivial of what I'm talking about with all these major accidents happening around the world. So thank you for.
I mean, I think you're right. People in the back of the plane, they need to stay in the back until they're dismissed. Like, I do find that rude, but there probably are instances where people have to get off if they have connecting flights or they don't feel good or something. So, I mean, everybody needs to give everybody a break. But I think what I appreciated on my trip home was the pilot actually gave us, I mean, they normally say something about the flight, but he came out and specifically talked about how there were storms in the area, and he knew that people are nervous because of all, the news that has been happening. And he wanted to reassure everyone that he had a lot of flight time and his officer had a lot of flight time and that we were perfectly safe and that we were going to experience some turbulence, but not to worry. And I mean, I actually thought, you know what, that was nice that he did that, because that probably gave people some relief to know, like, yeah, it's not that great out right now and it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I just had another one happen to me today, actually, because I traveled from Philadelphia to Peoria. We rented a car because we brought our dog here. She's going to get trained by a dog trainer here. And I realized this morning my sunglasses in the rental car that we returned last night at like 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
And you don't have $5 Walgreens sunglasses.
No, they're Maui Jim nice glasses. And my husband was like, "You did what? You left them in the car?" I was like, Oh my God. So I was with my father and we took the dog down, but we stopped at the Peoria airport to the car place, to National Car Rental, because I explained the story about how we rented the car and I wanted her to check. Well, long story short was she checked and she's like, it's not here. And the car was rented. Oh. As I left there, I was like feeling very deflated. And I was like, gosh darn it. Here I just lost these expensive glasses. So as I'm driving back from dropping my dog off, I got a text from my husband saying the guy who had my glasses came back to the airport and returned them.
That's amazing.
So
that's amazing that he did that.
I wanted just everyone to know, because I want to shout out to National Car Rental, because we have been customers of theirs for a long time. And they went an extra step for me to try and call that customer and try and get them back. And I went in and said, can I, help pay for anything for this guy? They said, well, we're going to take some money off of his bill. And I said, well, can I pay it? And they're like, no, National will pay it because you're our customer too. We want you to be happy. So I was just really impressed by that. And I ended up tipping both of the girls that helped me, because I was like, without them as well.
Yeah.
So I felt like that guy did a really good deed, and it shows that there are good people out there. I would do the same. So a shout out to whoever that guy was that returned my glasses. Because
kindness goes a long way, right? It really doesn't take, it just takes a little bit, and you can just change somebody's day and attitude, which is amazing. That. So I love that too.
Yeah.
Y'all, I wanted to mention a secret that I learned about Uber that I did not learn, that I wanted to just mention really quickly. That if you were to get an Uber Black, did you know that you can tell your driver ahead of time that you would like to be a quiet mode, that you don't feel like talking and you don't want to have conversation? You can even pick like the temperature of the car and if they play music or not.
Oh,
I had no idea. So there's a little tip. If you want to pay for Uber Black, you can customize it a little bit for yourself. There's my little secret there for Uber.
To have some control.
Yeah.
A little control. Yep.
Yeah. When I think about like plane travel in particular, so first of all, I am going to address something you said. There have been less airplane incidences this year than there were last year. There have been 99 aviation incidences from January 1st to February 21st this year, but there were 150 last year. So there's less. So I know people feel anxious about it, but it is substantially less this year than it was last year. But I personally feel when I'm flying in particular, if you're 5 and under, it's okay to be in the airport with pajamas. If you're over the age of 5, please put on real clothes. I do think decorum matters because, if you're in your PJs at the airport, you kind of feel like you can do whatever you want. Don't wear your damn pajamas in the airport if you're over the age of 5. There are a lot of very nice athletic wear brands that you could wear that are just as comfortable, but I don't want to see your Mickey Mouse pajamas in the airport.
That's
and
funny.
I do feel that there are some basic civil rules that people should follow at the airport, So I do sometimes feel there's a majority of people that are super kind and super sweet, and they do know the rules and they follow them. And there's always those outliers that feel like they can do whatever they want, that they're on vacation, they can say whatever they want, they can do whatever they want. I particularly feel like if I've paid for my seat, I don't want to give it up because you made poor planning. This is sort of a hot button of people, but like if you need to move your seat because you feel like you want to be next to somebody, go talk to the attendant at the gate and they can help you. But don't get on the plane and like demand people move seats. I just find that incredibly rude. Your poor planning is not my emergency. So those are 2 rules I kind of feel like get on board, people. This is crazy talk.
Yeah. So has that happened to you? Have you been like all settled and you have an aisle seat?
I do prefer an aisle.
So has somebody asked you to please move for some sort of reason?
It depends. If I'm flying solo and I really don't care, I'm not moving to the back of the plane. I'm a front of the plane girl. I usually pay up for it because I want to be comfortable. This is just like where I am in my life. If I was 20, maybe it would be different because I haven't paid up. But if it's convenient for me, I will move to help somebody else. But if it's not convenient for me, I'm not going to move. And I'm not going to be shamed into it. And I don't feel bad about it.
Like, I think I would move if I definitely would help someone out if it was like aisle for an aisle or a window for a window. But I would not move to the middle because I cannot stand the middle.
It's terrible. And plan ahead. Ask the gate person to help you. Like there's all kinds of people there that are willing to help you. Like don't put your stuff on me. I feel like that's wrong.
Okay, you guys. So what are you watching? The Oscars are this Sunday, airing on ABC. And I, for one, still love the Oscars. And I know that you guys may not always watch, but I am excited and here for the Oscars. I love everything about it. I love the fashion. I love the pageantry of it as they're marching in and getting excited. I love movies still and the storytelling. So I'm here for it all day long.
Well, first of all, I tried to watch the SAG Awards and I thought Kristen Bell's So You Want to Be an Actor parody was super adorable.
Super cute.
Super cute. She's a doll. I want to bottle her up and sprinkle her around like Tinkerbell. But I turned it off when Jane Fonda went on. And this is the epitome of why I do not watch the Oscars anymore. I want to be entertained. I don't want to listen to your political rants. So I'm not watching the Oscars. After the fact, the next day, I'll look at some of the pictures and I will be excited to see who wins. But I feel like I'm sick of people telling me what their political views are on these award shows. So I'm out.
So I like the Oscars, but it's always on too late for me. I never get through the whole thing. And the very important awards I don't get because I'm usually asleep. But I do like the pageantry of it as well, Nancy. Like I like watching what people are wearing. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just I like to be entertained, and I kind of agree with Linda. I don't want to hear about people's political views on that show.
I just find it if they start to talk about something I don't want or they've taken a turn, I'm like, it's a good time to get more popcorn, or I just take a bathroom break. But I don't let it derail me from watching. But I excuse myself and
Well, I love
my
that
popcorn.
for you. I mean, you are in TV. Your family makes your money in the entertainment business, and I support you and I love you and I want you to have all the things. So I get your point of view, but like my everyday person point of view is I'm out.
So it's interesting as we were starting to talk about, like I knew we were going to talk a little bit about the Oscars. I actually saw an article in The Atlantic, and the headline read, "The Oscars have left the mainstream moviegoer behind." So that the headline caught my attention.
That's
and basically the beginning of it is saying movies have weathered strikes, the pandemic, with the shutdown of the movie theaters, the wringing of their hands about the decline in TV ratings and the potential cultural irrelevance. So the trend of the Academy voters have been to move to more international movies, which I find interesting. And maybe it's because they're not making as much movies. But yeah, their voting seems to trend to more of the international movies, which I'm not totally sure why. And it's the trend has changed like over the last 10 years. So 10 years ago, if you think about it, the two best pictures that were nominated for Best Picture were Argo and Spotlight. Do you guys remember Argo and Spotlight?
Yes.
They were excellent movies. Argo was so good.
Yeah.
So good.
So good. So I hope that we swing back to more of that, because I think good stories and storytelling doesn't have to necessarily hit you over the head with something. I struggle with this too. I don't necessarily know if I want to watch something about the Holocaust all the time. Do I think it's an important story to tell? Yes. Do we need to know about it? Sure. But I also think like my favorite movie this year was A Complete Unknown. And it's about Bob Dylan, who's an American icon. And it's a stripped down movie of people doing a great job, telling a great story. And I think that those also should be celebrated and should take home the trophy. So
I sadly have not seen A Complete Unknown yet. My husband did not want to go see it in the movie theater, and it hasn't been released until today, our filming day. Right. But I'm a huge Timothée Chalamet fan. He's adorable to me. He's like such a good, iconic, like he's going to be a movie star for a long time, in my opinion. So I do want to see it. I really only saw Dune 2 and I saw Conclave. The rest of them, I have zero interest in seeing. They just seem depressing and like.
What do you think of Conclave? Because I saw it. I saw Conclave.
I actually thought it was fascinating. I did feel at the very end, like, why did we have to go there? Why did we have to go there?
I felt like the ending was interesting, which we don't want to give away, but I actually liked it from.
I liked it too. I thought it was interesting.
Like our Pope is, is not in good health. I mean, we may be going through this exact thing this year, maybe. I mean, who knows?
Well, Nancy probably doesn't remember, but I remember in middle school, we went through 2 conclaves, like kind of back to back. I don't know if you remember this, Kathy, but it was such a thing because we hadn't had a pope die in ages. And we actually watched it on TV because I went to Lutheran school at the time. And it was such a fascinating kind of take on religion, and sort of the whole process was so amazing. So it is sort of interesting to get the behind the scenes. I don't know how accurate this is and how much political stuff goes on selecting the Pope, but
yeah, it seemed like
I thought it was good until the very, very end. I was like, really? Like, why?
Like Ralph Fiennes was good, and so was Stanley Tucci. I like them.
And Isabella Rossellini was amazing.
You know, you say that, but I I was thinking about her. Like, she's up for an Oscar, but she barely said that much.
Because she was like so good at being behind the scenes, and she was so like, I thought she was very poignant. I don't know if she'll win or not, but
like the subtleness, like maybe she's nominated for the subtleness of her role.
I mean, I do think there is something amazing about somebody who can really feel authentic. Like, she was very authentic.
Yeah. I also watched something that you guys I don't think have, or maybe Nancy, you did, The Substance. Did you watch this?
Yeah, so I saw parts of it and I couldn't get through all of it because it is kind of a horror-ish movie, which I watch these movies before I go to bed. So that's also part of my problem, that I don't want to have nightmares. Like, I've become like a very sensitive sleeper.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kathy, what did you think of it?
In the beginning of this movie, I thought, okay, like, it's weird. It's a little far out there in the premise of, like, you know, they're basically, Demi Moore is upset because she has been this aerobic instructor that's on television. She's like famous, and now that she's aged, they kind of said, you're done, and they want to bring in somebody younger. And so she's devastated by this. And so it's a premise about this stuff that they inject in their body to make them younger, but it like turns them into like a monster basically, and it's so disgusting. Like, if that's what aging is when you're like 150, I mean, it's so gross. Like, the stuff that was happening to her body, and then her teeth got me the worst. I was like, oh my gosh.
Well, you're a dentist, so of course.
I mean, like, the decay of her mouth, I was like, oh my gosh, Peter, I can't watch this. And then it was like, it was a horror movie though. It, like, there were parts that I literally could not watch. It was so nasty. So
that's a no for me.
I don't know. We are fascinated with aging, right? And that we're not supposed to do it, right? Like, that we're supposed to stay looking a certain way and not get the lines and not show our age. So I think it is an interesting premise of, you know, how do you do it gracefully? And is there a way to do it gracefully?
I mean, this is a whole show. I just watched that like sequence with As Good as It Gets. And she talks about her sister. She's like, women over 50 are the group that is the most screwed because, you know, you get divorced, you then decide to like get more education, you become more interesting, you become more productive, which means like all the men in your age group do not want to be involved with you anymore. I don't know. It was just sort of an interesting, please cut that, Tim. We'll have to have a conversation about that another time.
Well, Demi Moore, I mean, she's up for Oscar as well. And
she's a goddess.
She looks good for her age and her body. I mean, she was naked a lot of the time in this movie. And so was the younger self of her, Margaret Qualley, or and I'm like, they hardly have a lot of speaking lines either, which I'm like, I was not that impressed, honestly. And my husband was not impressed either. He was
I'm not watching that movie.
The only other one that I just really quickly want to, like, we don't want to drum on too long about the Oscars, and it'll be interesting to see what our listeners think about the movies that are out there and if they watch the Oscars. But I also really enjoyed Wicked. I loved the cinematography of it. I loved the costumes of it. You
love a musical. Let's just be clear. You love a musical.
I do. And I did not think, I love theater, and I loved Wicked in the theater so much that I was like, there's no way that they are going to make this good as the Broadway show, because it's so amazing. But honestly, I loved it, and I thought that they did a really great job, and I thought it was beautifully shot and really bright and colorful. I loved it.
Good.
I saw it too, Nancy. I just finished it, actually.
What did you think?
I liked it. I thought it was entertaining. I liked the music in it as well. I liked the costumes. I really liked, I liked that guy that's the prince. I can't remember his name, but he was.
I don't remember his name either.
He was in Bridgerton. but he's cute.
Yeah.
And then that lady from Crazy Rich Asians, but she turns out to be kind of evil. I guess the take on it for me too, which maybe today is good. I mean, it says like people are good. They can be bad, but there's goodness in people, which we need to remember.
Right? That's exactly right. Just as we talked about, the theme of it, no one is purely good and no one is purely evil, right? Well, we'll be interested to know if you guys watch the Oscars. What do y'all think? Send us a note. And do you have a favorite one?
I think Timothy's going to win, Linda.
I hope so. My boyfriend needs to win. He needs another statue in his little curio cabinet.
All right. We'll have to see. What's for dinner?
Well, my husband's out of town. So Jack and I might go out to dinner tonight. And if we don't do that, I do have some ground beef and I'll make smash burgers. But I'm hoping we go out. I love
smash burgers.
That sounds good.
I don't want to cook.
I'm in Illinois, and our friend Todd actually is making us dinner tonight. And he's making, I believe, vodka rigatoni.
Oh, yum. That sounds delicious.
Yeah. Actually, let me tell you, if that's what you're having, I've had that before from him, and it is delicious. You're going to be in for a treat.
I'm going to share a recipe that we actually had over the weekend. I had a very busy day on Saturday, and Tim ended up making dinner for us. And this is something I never would have made for my family, but it was so good that I'm going to throw it out here and see if anybody wants to give this a try. So it's called creamy, spicy tomato beans and greens. And you make it this bean dish with it's tomatoey, and you put it on bread and you eat it that way. And it's super good. Again, I never thought I would make this, but even my kids ate it. So if you're looking to have like maybe a vegetarian dinner and just try something different, this might be up your alley.
It does not sound good to me. I mean, to be totally honest, I'm not going to try that. I don't think my people would eat it, but good for you.
Yeah, it was. If you're feeling adventurous, it's very good. If you like tomatoes and beans and bread, like farm bread, it's delicious. Yeah, so we'll post it at the end of the show notes.
Okay. So listeners out there, the Fishes have invited the original fish, Mama Renee, to join our podcast once a month. She is an avid reader, and she recommended Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn. So we invite you all to get Killers of a Certain Age, read it, and we will discuss it next month with Renee.
We want to thank you for listening to our podcast and letting us sisters jump into your day. Please make sure to follow, rate, and review us. Please also jump into our book club this month, so please read Killers of a Certain Age. Have a wonderful weekend. Sisters out.